All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're talking about something that's, well, on all of our minds, how to actually boost our brain power. We're going to get into some real scientifically proven principles that can help you learn faster, remember more, and just plain think smarter.
So, have you ever had that feeling? You sit down to study, you look at this giant textbook or a massive syllabus, and you just feel totally overwhelmed. You put in the hours, you try to memorize stuff, but it just doesn't seem to stick. It's a super common feeling, right? But what if I told you the problem isn't what you think it is? Okay, get ready for this, because it's a mind-blowing fact. Your brain has a storage capacity of over 2.5 million gigabytes. To even try to wrap your head around that, it would take you about 350 years of nonstop learning to even come close to filling it up. So yeah, running out of space is definitely not the issue here.
So, what that tells us is that the real limit isn't our brain's hard drive space, it's how effectively we're using its processing power. But here's the really good news. That power isn't set in stone. It's something you can train and seriously increase. Let's look at exactly how we do that.
First up, our first big rule is all about this idea of treating your brain like a muscle. And just like any muscle, to make it stronger, you have to challenge it. You got to give it a real workout.
Just think about it for a second. When you get stuck on a really tough problem, what's your first instinct? If you immediately ask for help or look up the answer, you're taking the easy path. Sure, you get the answer, but your brain doesn't actually grow. The real strength building happens when you wrestle with the problem, when you force your mind to struggle and find its own way to a solution. That struggle is literally what builds new, stronger connections in your brain. And that leads us to one of the most powerful active learning techniques out there, teaching. Seriously, if you want to lock knowledge into your brain for good, learn it with the goal of explaining it to somebody else. You see, the process itself forces you to engage with the material on a totally different level. You can't just passively skim something if you know you have to teach it later, right? You have to really get it, organize it in your head, and figure out a simple way to communicate it. Just that simple shift in your mindset, from I need to learn this to I need to teach this, it dramatically boosts your focus and how much you remember.
But, all that amazing brain training won't do you much good if your mind is all over the place. And this brings us to rule number 2, the incredible power of focus.
We all love to think we're amazing multitaskers. But honestly, science tells a very different story. Your brain isn't actually doing a bunch of things at once. What it's really doing is switching its attention back and forth between tasks really, really fast. And that constant switching, it's super inefficient, it's exhausting, and it just leads to more mistakes.
I mean, just how damaging is it? Check this out. When you're driving while talking on the phone, your brain's ability to actually see and process what's right in front of you can drop by a whopping 75%. Your eyes are on the road, but your brain isn't fully there. The exact same thing happens when you try to study while your mind is jumping around to other things.
And here's why focus is such a constant battle. We have over 62,000 thoughts every single day. A huge chunk of those are just random mind-wandering or unproductive worries. So the key to boosting your brain power is to consciously protect your attention and point it towards productive, positive thoughts. Because where your attention goes, your energy flows. Okay, so we've covered training your brain and focusing your mind. Now let's talk about the external stuff, the habits that actually fuel your brain's growth and keep it running at its best. There was this one study where they split people into two groups. The first group exercised regularly, while the second group was pretty much sedentary. And the results? They were just undeniable. The group that exercised showed way higher abilities in both memory and decision-making. And it makes sense, right? Physical activity boosts blood flow and oxygen to your brain, literally feeding it the resources it needs to thrive. Now, besides getting your body moving, another way to fuel that brain growth is with novelty, with something new. See, when your brain gets used to a routine, like studying in the same exact spot in the same way every day, it kind of goes on autopilot. It stops paying close attention, and that leads to boredom and, you guessed it, poor memory.
So the solution is actually pretty simple. Break the routine. Go study in a different room or a coffee shop. Try learning at a different time of day. Read your notes out loud. Ditch the keyboard and write things out by hand. I mean, even explaining ideas to an imaginary person works. Every time you do something new, you force your brain to wake up, pay attention, and work a little harder, which ultimately makes it stronger.
All right, finally, let's talk about making all this hard work actually last. Learning something is one thing, but how do we make sure that knowledge sticks with us for good? Well, the answer is revision. Now, here's a really important distinction. When you first learn something, one part of your brain is working hard. But when you recall that information later on, a totally different part, the hippocampus, is what lights up. So revision isn't really about relearning. It's more like a specific workout session for your hippocampus.
Think of it like this. Every time you actively recall a piece of information, you're strengthening the path to it in your brain. It's like clearing a path in a dense forest. The very first time is tough, but the more you walk that same path, the easier and clearer it becomes to travel. Regular revision does the exact same thing, making that information so much easier and faster to access when you really need it. So there you have it, 4 powerful science-backed rules to seriously increase your brain power. It's not about being born with a super brain. It's about training the one you've already got. And that brings us to one last thought. Based on everything we just talked about, what's one new thing you're going to do to challenge your brain today?